Yeah.
Okay. So this was the presentation which I made long ago, but I like to make it again, and I changed it quite a bit. Shubhendu speaks about Vedic approach to knowledge. One thing I wanted to also say that there can be many different approaches to understanding how we know. Yes, we can have different epistemologies. It depends in which context we are viewing ourselves, viewing things and knowing what we are knowing. So, and these contexts or these environments or epistemologies, if you want, they will define our way of looking at things, our belief systems. They are three main approaches, and this is Adhibhuta, Adhidaiva, and Adhyatma. And you most probably know them already very well. Adhibhuta is about elemental states. Is that what Keka was talking today? It's these states of matter, of ethereal, aerial, fiery, liquid, and solid states of matter, about our material, elemental existence, Adhibhuta, concerning becomings, that which become. And this is interesting. That which becomes is Adhibhuta. In this material universe, so to say, move some non-material powers, says Sri Aurobindo, manifesting through the mind force, life force, and that work upon matter, and these are called gods or devas. And everything which has to do with the working of the non-material in us is called adhidaiva, that which pertains to the gods. So what are these non-material forces? It's a question, yeah? Forces, powers, which are determining these ethereal, aerial, fiery, liquid, and solid states of matter. So the difference between the power, fiery power of the fire itself, the heat in matter, and those forces behind them, non-material, is not really determined. We don't see the link yet. And that is the consciousness, link, which you were mentioning. But above the non-material, containing them, greater than they, is the self, or spirit, Atman. And everything which has to do with this highest existence in us is called the spiritual adhyatma, about the self. So I made this scheme. Adhyatma, Adhidaiva, Adhibhuta. Adhyatma is the core, Adhidaiva is in the middle, linking the core to the periphery, Adhibhuta, to our material state. Here Sri Aurobindo says very beautiful quotation about that everything can be known because, and that is interesting, for all things that are not unknowable, all things in the universe, there correspond in that universe faculties which can take cognizance of them, and in man, the microcosm, these faculties are always existent and at a certain stage capable of development. So we may choose not to develop these faculties where they are partially developed. We may discourage and impose on them a kind of atrophy, but fundamentally all possible knowledge is knowledge within the power of humanity. And this is a very good news. It's a religious term, good news.
Could I interject something?
Yes, please, would be very nice.
Can you go back to the previous slide? This represents a trinity which is universal in philosophical knowledge. It's Western and Eastern. The Adhyatma is absolute spirit. The Adhidaiva is the universal spirit, and Adhibhuta is the individual spirit.
Right.
In other words, and this is knowable. The universe is knowable because the particles of matter and the systems of matter have in them this principle. The universal forces, such as the tattvas and the gods and so on, have in them that spiritual being, and it itself exists in its own self-existent reality. And in all of the spiritual systems, in order to know reality, we must be able to see that in each of these levels.
Right. Yeah, the problem lies, what Keka was formulating, very well defining, is when I am creating a fire, heating something, I just use matches and use that and create a fire. I created a fire not out of consciousness, so to say. Yeah? I created fire by the material means, yes. I created the force by the material means. And how that relates to consciousness. There is as if a gap, yeah, between the material execution of force and the cognizance or cognition or comprehension of it, as if.
That's the illusion.
Right. And that illusion we have to see and, how to say, to find the way to show that that is the illusion. We didn't find it yet. Of course, philosophically, people already did find, but they are treated as philosophers, as thinkers, as those who imagine things in a very nice way and put it in a beautiful language. But all that, what Hegel was saying about the spirit, and he's an idealist, and idealism is something, it's, I wish that would be true, something, or something of the kind. It's the attitude which scientists have towards philosophers. Yeah? But it's unfortunate, and maybe not totally unfortunate, because there was somewhere a failure of real philosophers to show that link, or maybe the failure of scientists to see that link.
I think it's an evolutionary problem.
Maybe.
We don't, normal people don't have that faculty so developed. But I think that what you're calling idealism is actually a consciousness of the Trinity.
Right.
And for Sri Aurobindo and for Hegel and for some others, this is a reality. It's not just a theory.
Right. No, I agree. I'm not. I'm saying that he is called idealist in that sense. It's not my term for Hegel. And it is clear why. And Sri Aurobindo was called even a reactionist in the Soviet Union. He was someone who was not, he was like a terrorist or something, with his philosophy. So whatever it is, there are always reasons to call, to give names to. But it's not about that. We are looking at this Trinity, and it is well defined here in the Upanishads about these three levels, and they somehow are nearly not clear how they are linked, how the adhidaiva, these non-material powers which exist within the material universe, govern the material universe.
But they're not separate, so they can't be linked.
Right. Well, if they would be not totally separate, they would not be defined as, there would be no difference between vital and physical, but there is a difference, and mental and vital.
That's the illusion.
Right. But
they're all ever present.
That is, yes, they are ever present, but there is a difference in quality or the very characteristic of the being, or the faculty, or
no, that's a perception.
Well, yes. How else should I do it?
So the approach that you're outlining is an approach from the point of view of perception.
Okay, I,
You
I,
can go you can go forward with that, but the evolutionary problem is that our perceptual capacities are limited.
definitely. Well, that's what we are going to discover, but we will be kind of systematic in our discovery.
Right.
We will add to it, you know, we will be honest with what we have and add to it something which we discover. Of course, I can come straight to that spirit is one and everything is just the manifestation, but you will not like it. Yeah, you will say you are too, you know, philosophical or too, how to say, you were using right term before. It's
No, if I may say something to that,
right.
because this is for me something that in practical terms it is to be looked at, because something during the execution of a musical thing is happening that suddenly brings forward as a presence, and it doesn't come when you want it. And it is like this presence where you can distinguish all the different layers of its being, all the different qualities of its being, because in sound they come to be discerned. So you can point your mind, as for example, if I play a sound and I think in that direction, you can make it out. You will, if you point your attention to it, you can make it out. Now, it happened many times that this presence, which is felt as a kind of full presence, like integral presence, where you can go from one to the other one through all the layers, and you can see them that they are being expressed. So there is this one. The other one, it is this adidaiva, which is that if you want to influence that what you are doing, then you call in powers. Let's say you call the power of love, or you call the power of mind, you call the power of intelligence, and you can sort of influence this material substance. But that presence, it is something else. I just wanted to say this one to these three things.
Right. So there is an influence, yes, if we are to create, to make some difference on the Adhibhuta level, so to say, to kindle the fire, yes, there has to be consciousness preceding and kindling it. So to say, in my case, it will be matches and me deciding to do it. So there will be fire coming from my decision. We kind of don't trace it back. We think that fire came from the matches. No, fire didn't come from the matches. Matches were made to create fire, and so on and so forth. There is a whole thing behind it, which is not visible and not traceable, because we are not doing the work of looking at it for it. Yeah? But that's good to start with perceptive thinking, and then come to conceptual, because the concept is in front of us. But the perception is not linking the brutal or the physical force to the force of the inner worlds, or the mental and vital force. There is no linkage somehow. What Rod is saying, that this is an illusion, that they are not linked. They are always linked. It is true, but how to discover it? Can we, with our consciousness, build that knowledge within ourselves, that we would be fundamentally seeing it? That it would not be a question, that I will be able to tell you how it is. I'm not able to do it now yet, immediately. I will have to become, as Rod was using the term when I was doing it, logocentristic. I will have to use language to make it happen for you. So to say, I will have to coin my terms in my thinking to make it happen, because these are the powers of thinking, you know. how these thinking powers are related to the non-thinking powers, which are perceived by all, but my thinking powers are not perceived by all. Oops. And here it's hidden from the physical reality. Physical reality everybody sees. Show me the miracle and I will believe in you, you know. That's what it is. Show me outwardly what it is, and then I will say that yes, you have it inside. But this is really a big question to make that link. Of course, philosophy did it, but on its level of the mind, but not truly, totally, not totally with the physical. If it would be done, it would be already a great achievement. And that is
for example, in medicine, it's also done, for example, homeopathy, because they see the subtle physical body and also the organs they see in a more subtle way and act on it, and not directly on the organs. And that's why these high potencies they work also. And that's one example.
Yeah, that's why it's so important, this TED's talk, which was there, because he came to this himself through scientific thinking to the necessity of consciousness. And this is very important. It is a move from scientific paradigm towards the mind paradigm of philosophy, or you know, acknowledgement of the presence of consciousness. I think it is a great turn, and we have to follow it up. So basically, what I wanted to say, that we have these powers available, what Sribindo says, to cognize all those things outside in the universe and can know them. Why? Why? There is always consciousness available to know things which are manifested or will be manifested, or forces, because consciousness is inherent in them. That's the whole thing. It is always present with things which appeared in this manifestation. Otherwise, they would not come into being. It is because of that consciousness that they came into being in the first place. So it's I'm saying this in a way, in a stupid language, how all things know how to be, for example, how this computer knows how to be computer, how everything, you know, a chair knows how to hold my body still in this room, how this house knows how to stand and trees to grow and sun, and everything knows how to be itself. Everything knows how to be itself. So it holds to that form, to that formation, to that force. By what? There is consciousness in it, yeah? And that consciousness holds the form in a meaningful fashion, relates to other forms. All universe is hanging together. All the universes are hanging together in a meaningful fashion because there is consciousness present within them. Otherwise, it would be an abracadabra or something. It would not be one or meaningful, and all these details of our existence would not correspond to the meaningful reality. I'm not saying even more. So everything, and we will come to samjnana and see that everything, every object of sense has inherent in it the sense, consciousness, perceiving it as a force, as a manifestation of force. So on these three levels, the yoga of the Upanishads was about either turning within or turning without the senses or the faculties of consciousness, adhidaiva. These forces, they can look onto the outer reality, or they can turn within, as Upanishads propose, close the eyes, ears, and listen within, hear within, see within, think deeper, and go deeper, deeper, deeper into the adhyatmic level. So to say, shut down the outer doors and look within. But Sri Aurobindo says that it is not the ancient Vedantic yoga. The ancient Vedantic yoga was not to close eyes and to look within. as it was in the Adhidaivic sense later in the post-Vedic literature, what we have as Adhyatmic, as Advaitic view. Yes, Advaita means that there is only inner reality, outer world is an illusion. That means close your eyes and go deeper within. But he says that these two views on within and without of the same faculties of consciousness has to be differently viewed, and that is interesting. So to say, these faculties have to become the transmitters or intermediaries between the inner core and the outer manifested surface of consciousness. So to say, they have to allow the inner consciousness, which is comprehensive, which knows everything, to come to the surface, which is more apprehensive. And if this inner consciousness will touch the outer through these intermediaries, then we will know what is outside, and the outside world will totally change. We will see it differently as the divine manifestation. There will be completely different relations in it than we see it today. There will be no more struggle of that kind. Yeah, Rod wants to say something interesting. Yeah, please, Rod.
I would like to introduce a fundamental difference at this point.
Right. Please go ahead.
This is not only a view. These Adhidaivic principles and powers can look within or look without, but they can also manifest without and manifest within. The reason why we can be aware of what is there is because it is there.
Right.
And what is there is just as much an embodiment of the principle as the looking at it.
Right. Totally.
So your emphasis is always on the epistemological subjective looking towards this or looking towards that. But it's also important to know that there is being that and being this.
Very nice.
That's the ontological view.
I agree with you. By the way, I wanted to arrive at it, and you just did it for me. Thank you, really. I would love to have this view, because if I come back, actually it's very, very nice what you said, that the Adhyatmic and Adhibhautic level is actually oneself, or that existence as such, which is viewed by this consciousness Adhidaivic with the faculties, can be viewed as outer or inner. It is one consciousness, but the view on it as outer makes it outer, creates it as outer, manifests it as such. And this is what Rod just said, that looking at it or perceiving it through these faculties creates the world. And this is so. So, or if it sees this as the inner, as one, it will be one. And that is very valuable thought. I think in the same way.
So this question that Keka raised about the photons, you know, why are photons what they are, and what's the relationship with consciousness? In fact, there would be no looking at anything without photons. And so the fact that consciousness perceives something which is there is because of the energy field of consciousness, which is both there and inside. This whole triple consciousness, transcendent consciousness, universal consciousness, and physical individual consciousness is also an existing physical world, an existing vital and mental world, and an existing transcendence.
Right.
So to comprehend the existence of all of this as consciousness is exactly the point, the problem, the goal.
Right. So how consciousness views the being, and this is being behind this yellow circle, we see the being, the existent one, the existence as such, and consciousness can view it differently, and viewing it differently, approaching the being differently, it manifests differently. And it is that manifestation of that being is charged with consciousness of that particular view. And so it holds onto the form, onto the force, because it viewed it in this way. And this is a philosophical postulate, which is very beautiful, by the way, and explains all the gradations of being and the oneness of it. And only consciousness makes the difference, differentiates it into all these varieties of existence of this one being. I like philosophical thinking, but if you look at these, here I'm kind of continuing a little bit further, and I will stop soon. The consciousness operates on all these levels. On adhyatmic level, it's a secret operations, as Sri Aurobindo says, samjnana, jnana, vijnana, prajnana. We will look into it more in detail. On adhidaivic level, it is these very faculties which are manifested and known to us as mind, word, hearing, and seeing, manas, vak, chakshuh, shrotram, and annam, prana. And on the adhibhuta level, they are known to us as senses or indriyas of Sankhya, subordinate to the sense mind. That what creates in us the perception of the outer being, the scientific consciousness. And here they are presented like to see clearly secret operations on the adhyatmic level, faculties on the adhidaivic, and senses on the adhibhuta. Why I'm doing this? I'm saying that consciousness is throughout, but we will study it in different kind of sections. The section of secret operations within the unified adhyatmic level, as faculties on the mental and vital level, and as senses on the outer level. And that is kind of interesting because this triple division is already determined by the triple supermind of the more unifying element, more diversifying element, middle, and diverse element, the surface. And you will see this triplicity throughout. On the mental level, the same triple mind will be the unifying mental mind, diversifying vital mind, and diverse physical mind. On the vital, we will have the same. Mental vital, which is more unifying, the vital, which is diversifying, and finally physical vital, which is more diverse in the elements. We will have this triplicity even on the physical.
I really liked. Beautiful.
Yeah.
With what you just said, I mean, the diversifying, diverse, and the unifying. Beautiful.
Well, and this is the structure of thinking which we cannot avoid, and that is something which is going beyond the perception now. It is becoming the concept. And here I'm showing you the scheme from the Vedic presentation, and here we see this triple supermind, which is kind of projected in the three rochanas, three luminous realms of Svar, which I didn't name here, but they are the supramental overmind, and intuitive mind. And then we have triple heaven, triple vital, and triple earth. This is the Vedic view, and look onto this beautiful triplicity. Everywhere this triplicity. Mental mind is more unifying, vital, diversifying, and physical diverse. Even on the physical level, mental physical is more a concept, a construct, so to say. Vital physical is more life force, which is diversifying the life of the cells, and physical are separate cells or separate entities. And that's a kind of really beautiful concept. We can use it. And it is coming from this very concept of how consciousness operates on all the levels, from the highest to the most peripheral, to the periphery of our being. Okay, I'm not touching Sankhya today. Sankhya would be interesting to see for us because we will shift from this mental paradigm to the pre-mental paradigm, something which was preceding it. And that shift of paradigms is also very good to have, to see the difference in languages. Because this is what I'm showing you now, is the scientific paradigm today. We believe that mind is driving or deciding, the sense mind deciding what we have to see, to hear, to speak, and so on. It is the mind who decides, and it is true to the great extent, but it is not the key to the studies of consciousness. It is rather a veil which is not allowing us to see how consciousness operates, right? It is so correct and so profound, this vision of Sankhya, that it also stops us from understanding how consciousness works. It's on one side it explains everything, and on the other side it hides the deeper sense of how the faculties operate. So and that's what the problem lies in, exactly that what Keck was defining, because how can we really link the inner force with outer force? There is no linkage, and it is because of this system what you see in front. It is exactly because of this that we can't link the outer with the in. So because it explained how it is. And once it is explained, we think we know, but we can't link anymore. We can operate completely differently. So, but
I think there are three problems. Not just that problem, but two other problems also.
Okay, please go ahead.
Can you go back in your slides to the triple world?
Right.
This is a triple world. It's not just a model of consciousness. It's also a model of world.
Right.
So the three problems that I see are, first, the one that you just now addressed. We are studying a system, the Sankhya system, for example.
Right.
And we can criticize the system. And that is a problem, because if we're criticizing the system, then we're no longer looking at consciousness and how it works. And we're also no longer looking at the relationship between consciousness and world. So if we want to come finally to an understanding of the identity of world and consciousness, that implies a problem of transformation of the mind.
Right.
If we want to understand how the mind works in terms of the senses and the faculties and the principles, this is a concentration on mind itself, consciousness itself.
Mm.
And when we're concentrating on that, then we're forgetting that consciousness is expressed throughout all the three planes of actual forces and beings and powers. And universal powers are expressing themselves not only through our human consciousness, but through everything at the same time.
Well,
So there are three problems here. One is understanding systems that have been developed for understanding how consciousness knows something, and finally understanding the totality of existence.
right. Okay. I thought we already made this kind of preliminary postulate that we understand that consciousness, as it views the being, such is the being. And I thought it was quite clear, wasn't it? And it was actually defined by you first, and I followed it, and I love this idea, because how consciousness views the being, that being we have, it becomes physical, it becomes vital physical, and so on. It's a view of consciousness which makes the being as such. That very view, yeah, that very look at it, and that look is not free from force shaping it and making it. It is exactly how consciousness views the being, that the force is generated out of the being. It is by consciousness that the force comes into existence out of the being. And that force has a particular characteristic, particular form, or particular level of being. As you see, this is the levels. By the way, this triple 3 times 3, as you see it, from physical to the mental mind, this triple world is exactly what in the Veda is called as Navagva rishis, the rishis of 7 rays of light. Now, light, not levels of being. These are the consciousness streams of consciousness. Physical stream, vital physical stream. It's how consciousness views the being. It's beautiful. It's really, we can learn from the Vedas something, because we don't have yet language for ourselves to operate about on this topic. It's really very difficult to find that language. So we are using the Vedic and Vedantic, Upanishadic and Vedic language with the help of Sri Aurobindo to create something that we could understand. So these Navagvas, when they fulfill the whole sacrifice of, sometimes it is interpreted as 9 months sacrifice. That means 9 levels of consciousness were gathered into one. They already operate within all these 9 levels, from the most physical to the highest, what you call illumined mind. Yeah, then they stop. There is a ceiling. They can't break through, as the Veda says, and they need the help of the 10th. Ayasya Rishi, who comes as the 10th one, and they become Dashagva Rishis, the Rishis of 10 rays. And who is that 10th one? Is that which brings them to the Svar level, Indra. And there is no question about 11th and 12th anymore, because once you break through to the transcendental, you have it. Yeah? It comes to you. So, and what is interesting in this scheme is that it corresponds to what Mother describes as 12 chakras of our being. Notice, Mother speaks about 12 chakras. Who remembers this? It is really a striking thing. Not 7, not 6, but 12. And she says there are 12 types even of exteriorization of consciousness to come to the supramental. And this is really an amazing thing. These are the 12. Look at these 9 and these 3 of Svar. These are the 12 chakras of ourselves. And the highest chakra, mental mind, is Sahasrara. But beyond it, there are 3 higher chakras as she describes them. And these are the Svar world, intuitive mind, overmind, and supramental overmind. They are far away from us, but they are there, always present. And then beyond there is a supermind. So I'm just giving you the ontology on consciousness and being, how it was viewed in the Veda, because it's important for us to build our own language. So it's completely different paradigm than Sankhya, as you can clearly see, which operates by indriyas submitted to the sense mind. Yeah? And as Yatsenko will say, it is by the mind, by manas we see, by manas we hear. We don't hear without manas. Manas is deciding what to hear, what to see. But it wasn't so in the pre-Sankhyayic paradigm. There was a consciousness free from the mind deciding what to see. We could think about consciousness in those terms, and that would be beautiful to see it. And these are the faculties of consciousness, which were, so to say, equally powerful or equally important. And manas is one of those, not the dominator, not the synthesizer of others, but others were equally developed. The word faculty, or the faculty of hearing, or the faculty of seeing was equal to the mind faculty. Here lies the whole issue now, because from this time, from this view, I would like to develop the integral paradigm of knowledge, not from the Sankhyayic. And that is important to see, because here, these 6 faculties are present on every level, on every execution of consciousness of the being. So we have outer sight, the eye, we have the inner sight, we have the innermost conceptualizing mental sight, we have supramental sight, drishti as a revelation. So we have the same hearing, we have the highest hearing as inspiration or the knowledge, or and then we have hearing on the lower level, on the mental level, on the vital level, on the physical, and so on. We have the same with the word, paravak, pashyantivak, madhyamavak, vaikharivak in tantrics. We have the whole hierarchy of all these faculties are present on every level. And the beauty of it we can find in Savitri. In Savitri Sri Aurobindo, when he describes consciousness, he speaks about these faculties. He doesn't speak about abstract notion of consciousness in philosophical terms. He speaks about the sight, the hearing, the word that knows. You know, these would be his descriptions of those higher levels of consciousness. In the same way, Upanishads describe consciousness. They don't speak about consciousness as an abstract philosophical notion or concept. They are very practical. They speak about the faculties. Faculties are consciousness. And to think that consciousness is something else than faculties, I think would be a mistake. And that's why we were coming to the inner or the secret operations of consciousness, to link them with these faculties. Because if these faculties, where do they come from? If they are not consciousness, then what are they? So if I come back to Sankhya, I want to show you something interesting. That where is here consciousness? In Sankhya it was in this way, that Purusha is consciousness and Prakriti is not. But there are 5 indriyas, karmendriyas and jnanendriyas. And here is the consciousness. It pervades from the top to the bottom, the whole Prakriti. And we will know about it from Sri Aurobindo, saying that when Prakriti becomes Shakti and he becomes Ishvara, there is no difference. So the Purusha is present within Prakriti. And this is an important message. This is what Rod was saying. Consciousness is present throughout the being. Yeah? Only it is not visible here because of thinking, because of terminology, because of preference of the philosophical mind to speak in those terms of division. Purusha is separate from Prakriti. It's kind of interesting topic. So here I stop, just kind of refreshing our knowledge about these things. I was trying to be very fast, maybe too fast. Yeah.
So when will you continue?
We will continue next time and take these essential or secret operations of consciousness. It would be very nice to look into them and see how they can link us to the studies of the faculties. And what are really faculties? What is this seeing, hearing? I would like to examine them in detail, to go deeper into them, nearly in psychological way of study, kind of really diving into them, philosophical and psychological. And once we do that, we will have enough ground to look into the paradigm and try to figure out what consciousness could mean for us. Is it okay?
So, know what the next time is?
Next time is every Saturday, the same time.
Okay, that's what I asked. Okay.
All right. Okay, Rod, is it all right?
Very nice.
Okay, I'm glad that I could reconcile.
There's nothing to reconcile.
I mean, in language there is always something. Language is partial. It's always on the way, And if we stop on the way, then it becomes, and we insist on this term, then we become logocentric, as I understand it. Yeah?
So, when you said that, I thought it was all clear already. It's true, but at the same time, when you express another structure of understanding, it obscures the previous one, and it may also contradict the previous one. And it's the nature of language and the nature of thinking. So all I was trying to do was recall, when there is an apparent focus that contradicts a previous understanding, then in terms of presentation, it's good to recall the difference.
Sure. Always good to recall the difference, because it helps to bring the topic in a more, sincere way. Yeah? We have to have something real to see the difference, and that's why I like Keka's difference, what she makes so sharp. What is that link between the inner force, those adhidaiva, and adhibhuta? Is there a link? And this created for us the whole discussion. You see, we are answering one question, which is very valuable. Yeah, very nice.
But the mind understands its functioning much better than it understands the functioning of atomic particles. And so to understand that the mind cannot function at all without atomic particles, and that the atomic particles are in fact the mind's functioning.
Right.
This is not a normal perspective.
Right. But to discover it, one has to go kind of round and round and round, and then it settles. Comprehension settles. Right.
So I was reading Ladislav's description of the vertical and the horizontal forces, which are related to hearing and sight. And I know what he's talking about. I've heard it before, and I've understood it, and I have felt it. And then I think, but there is music. And that music has meaning, and it's that which is important. And this analysis of the forces that are perceptible in the production of that music seems to be very elementary and fundamental, and not at all interesting in relation to music itself. but for him, when he's inside it, it makes perfectly good sense.
Mhm. He's discovering the consciousness, how it operates, the tools, yeah, how everything came into being. But what came into being is another question. And I made a remark there that actually, because of his description, I suddenly thought about the qualities of the psychic, you know, that they are the colors of music.
They take these forms of expression.
Right. And they use this instrument of consciousness to express itself in some form or another and give all the varieties and colors and beauties to our being. And that is
that's what nature does.
right. Wonderful. Very good. Latzo, are you still there? You have something to say?
No.
No. We were talking about your this.
No, you know, the thing is that I try to make it as simple as possible, because to start all these philosophical discussions you are already doing so wonderfully, so there is no need to it. Anyway, what happens then in the process, if you don't enter this way, and there is also the side of the listening, when on behalf of that, I was listening to some pieces of orchestra, Furtwängler and other, and try to compare it, and I was writing on it. So I can post it if you want, and you can start listening. That certain people had a kind of vision which was there, and it was effective. And with this psychic, naturally with this psychic presence. But this presence, it can operate only if the thing is put into a frame. If there is not the holding of the sight, of the seeing, you cannot get at this expression. It is impossible. So this one is just a kind of introduction. We can then listen, if you want, to certain pieces of music, and we can talk about it.
That would be lovely if you could make the presentation of it. That with music, with just we can go deeper into these topics, because I want to see how this inner self, so to say, uses consciousness to express itself in terms of music or in terms of art or any other way, poetry and so on. In this case, music is the most beautiful because you are doing it, so we can really hear, we can feel it. The feeling will go through the color. And more consciousness is, more the instrument is conscious what is happening, more it is capable to bring that in, you know. So that
excuse me. You see, this what you have described today, this uniting Adi Atma. You can actually come to it gradually by this experience. That it is not described whose consciousness that is, who is doing that creativity, that creation in music. The problem in music today, it is that we are so self-centered. So, and this one falsifies everything.
But it's the self which is creating the music, right?
It is what?
The self.
Right.
Yes, yes, it is always the self that is creating.
So there's the self, and then there's the self-centeredness, which is the human predicament.
The thing is that if you have there a kind of relation to your public, yes, if the self is you're related to the self, let's say above, or the self,
Right.
or that one, and that makes a great difference.
Right. Perfect.
He's making jokes.
This is the geometry of truth.
Well, right. Well, in a way, it is so, because if we are connecting to the horizontal sense of the varieties of things as they are independently existing, then we have this kind of at the hypnotic level. But if we connect to the vertical, yeah, then we have this kind of alignment with the center of all the things which are outside. So both these, so to say, create all the varieties of possibilities. So in a way, it's a geometrical figure of speaking of this truth. I agree with you. And if you are conscious of it, you can use it, you can charge it, and use it for the expression of the inner self. You can also use it for the expression of the vital self, yeah, or the vital feelings, as many people do. But to perfect the instrument, to make it more and more conscious, is a great task. It is in itself a great task, you know, even without what it will express. Even if I don't even think what kind of music it will create, but what you're doing is very good, to become conscious of. And when I read it, I really understood it. It was felt that it is a study, psychological study of what is happening, and finding the language. And I like that you found your own language, not taking it from somewhere else. You can develop this. You go ahead, develop it more and more. And I will be very happy to develop it with you, to help you out if you want, with whatever we have, because the help is always needed. You are developing the language to explain something inside to our outer surface consciousness, to our outer mind.
Yeah, you know, once you are in it, I am neither a speaker nor a writer. No, but when I am there, I know what I am doing.
Right.
And when I explain, you know, it is kind of difficult to explain something very practical to someone, to people who are mostly seeing it in their mind. So it becomes a kind of, you come to a kind of stupid level, which is she went. And blößend, yes. So you say blößend in German, which is creating a kind of nudity that what it is, finished. No, there is neither this nor that. You cannot hide anything.
Because of this stupidity, we become speakers and writers.
I had this doubt, you know, that it is so nice to hide behind very significant words, and it is it takes a little of courage to just be there nude on that level, no?
Yeah, very nice, very nice.
You have no choice if you want to attack the stupidity.
No, don't worry. I mean, I'm not saying anything.
He's teasing you, teasing.
I am giving myself fully to this job because I know what it is. I won't leave it.
No, definitely not. So next time we will do, I do not know, what do you suggest? Shall we go into the Samjnana, Jnana, Vijnana, Prajnana?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
vote yes.
All right. And then next time, somebody else will have to pick up. And yeah, you think, please, about your presentations, Rod and Lazo and Keka. Please, at least 3 of you would be very nice if we, in this key, so to say, presentation, in this and under this umbrella, we will have these different approaches to knowledge: philosophical, scientific, artistic.
So I sent a poem and a philosophical paper to some people today.
Okay, you did. Okay, we will
have, have a look and give some feedback.
All right.
Okay.
Before I do a presentation. And not today. Look, you can, it will take some time to look.
It's so good to see you all.
I agree.
I hug you, all of you. Very happy.
Yeah.
Really very happy to see you.
Very nice.
Okay, look forward for next time.
Okay, all right. See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.